Welcome, soul visionaries, potential soul visionaries. I'm your host, Sherrod Cohen, and you are now entering into the Soul Vision Powercast, a place where we keep it unfiltered and raw. We talk about anything from porn to politics. We'll even discuss that shit you might have heard or even saw. Dig this here. We're talking about intimacy, how to build an intimate relationship that lasts according to therapists. Let's kick it. How to build an intimate relationship that lasts according to therapists. It starts with understanding the 6 elements of intimacy, then putting them to use. This is by Nicole Natalie, an article from Prevention, the website Prevention. So here, dig this. I'm gonna read a little bit and then we gonna kick it a little bit. You feel me? Says, what is intimacy exactly? Basically, intimacy is a close or familiar relationship. As social creatures, individuals crave the ability to share their innermost selves, as well as learn of the depth of other persons. Intimacy isn't just an essential part of human nature, it's also essential to our health and well-being. Studies have repeatedly found that humans live longer, happier, healthier lives when they are in an intimate relationship, says Paul Hockemeyer, PhD, a licensed marriage and family therapist and author of Fragile Power. He adds that people in intimate relationships tend to have stronger immune systems, lower blood pressures, and decreased levels of stress. All right, it's stress, but you know how I do, man. Come on now. Now, it trips me out when I hear folks say, particularly black women, I don't need a man for nothing long. Hey, you know what? Maybe that might be some of y'all problems. Y'all not relieving some of that stress. You're causing yourself so much stress with the bullshit that you're packing on to yourself. All you need to do is just get yourself an intimate partner that you can trust. All right, never mind. Go ahead. Do you? But I'm telling those, hey, when you look at it, even in prison, you can't isolate an inmate but for so long. You know what I'm saying? Because it's against some rules and guidelines. Why would you not want to have someone of the opposite sex to be intimate with? Why wouldn't you want to be able to sit down and talk to somebody of the opposite sex? I wouldn't want to talk to my boys all damn day long. You know, you've never heard men out here, heterosexual men out here saying they don't need a woman. I'm back to my article. A study published in Journal of Child and Family Studies also found that adolescents with highly intimate relationships with their parents experience less loneliness, greater self-esteem, and more happiness than those in low intimacy relationships with their parents. Moreover, an absence of intimacy can have detrimental psychological and developmental effects leading to feelings of loneliness, isolation, and anxiety, Pataki says. You're probably here just because you know creating intimate relationships is important. You just aren't sure how to get started. So the next step is about understanding the various ways through which you can be vulnerable with someone. Baby. What are the types of intimacy in relationships? Now remember, I said there are 6 types of intimacy according to this article. Intimacy is often linked to sex, especially during our formative years, Pataki says. But if you're struggling with how to keep the spark alive or hearing that your partner wants to feel even closer to you, it may be that you're overlooking a few of the many other ways experts define intimacy. Okay, of course, number 1, we got physical intimacy. The most common is sexual or physical intimacy, which includes components of touch and closeness of bodies. Pataki says, acts of physical intimacy include sex, kissing, cuddling, and holding hands. If you're feeling insecure in the bedroom, consider trying out new forms of foreplay or one of these intimate sex positions recommended by sex therapists. I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to hit this link, man. I want to see what kind of sex positions they're talking about. Oh, shit. 7 most intimate sex positions you can try with your partner, according to sex therapists. Dig that. That might be something I'm going to have to touch on, you know what I'm saying, next. Feel me? All right. Now, physical intimacy. You know, When you look at love languages, I've spoken often of love languages and the different types of love language. You got 5 love languages, and one of them is touch. You know what I'm saying? And how can you be in a relationship or call it a relationship if you don't like touching your partner? You know what I'm saying? How is that? How can you day in and day out coexist without touching each other? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not a relationship anymore. Because if you're not touching, obviously you're not talking and you're not doing anything else. It's not a relationship. Man, that physical touch, that physical intimacy is something different, man. It's, I'm a touchy-feely dude. I'm going to touch all over you and the whole 9 yards. I can't just live in a crib with anyone and just say, I'm going to just let her walk by and never touch her. Man, that shit would drive me absolutely crazy. Number 2, emotional intimacy. While physical intimacy allows you to express your feelings through touch, emotional intimacy requires you to communicate words. Remember this. Emotional intimacy requires you to communicate words. And I've often said communication and talking are 2 different things. Communication involves people verbally expressing themselves through words and sounds. The other person listening to comprehend, to respond logically. You know what I'm saying? To understand, to get to know what's going on. When you talking, 2 people are talking at the same time. Communication is one person's listening, one person's communicating. All right. And it's not just by saying, I love you, Pataki says. This usually takes some time for couples to build, as it requires a lot of trust and honesty. Need help getting those combos started? Try an intimacy deck. And you know what? And I bought an intimacy deck. You know what I'm saying? I bought one of those joints, and I'm gonna try it out. I just want to see, I just want to see how it works or whatnot. And I'll probably bring it back and then show you guys, man, you might want to use it for your relationship or whatnot. But I'm gonna put a link for the intimacy deck in the description. So if you go through, check it out, boom, pick it up. I think it might be a great thing to, especially if you and your partner, you and your partner are struggling with communication and things of that nature. Number 3, intellectual intimacy. Intellectual or cognitive intimacy is when a couple is comfortable sharing and exchanging thoughts and ideas. Pataki says, while remaining respectful of one another's differences and enjoying hearing one another's points of view, this type of intimacy requires our ability to communicate. Think of it as the next step after emotional intimacy. One activity: spend the morning reading the newspaper, then come together and discuss what you thought about articles that stuck out to you. Like, hey, I think cool shit is reading a book and sharing the ideas of that book with your partner, right? I think if you sit down and listen to the things that set your partner off mentally, man, I mean, that's another form of intimacy that'll bring you all closer together. Shit like that, man, because that's, sapiosexuals are really big on intellect. Creative intimacy, that's number 4. Creative intimacy is when we express ourselves through our passions, whether it's in the form of laughter, art, music, dance, literature. This type of intimacy also communicates our expressive self. Pataki says, so if you're a fan of poetry, share a poem that you think reflects your relationship and why. If you love to paint, ask them to create a painting that represents the relationship today. If you struggle with words, these more familiar outlets can be a better way to get your point across. Now that sounds really cool. If you're a painter, paint a picture, to convey what it is you feel, what it is you want, or whatever. As the partner, the partnership, kind of become interested in the passions that you have. Like I said, they said, be it through art, music, dance, literature. Show more interest in what your partner is passionate about. Number 5, experiential intimacy. Experiential intimacy involves the sharing of activities and the time we enjoy with our partners. Pataki says, in other words, you may just need more creative date nights. This may be a walk in the park, a night of playing board games, or weekend barbecue, she adds. It's all about the playfulness behind spending and sharing these activities together. You know what? I think as adults, we become too rigid. When we're with one another for so long, we become rigid. There's no playfulness anymore. There's no laughter. There's no joking around. Everything is about money, 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 legacy, leave a legacy, build this, build that. Fuck that. Have some goddamn fun. Number 6, spiritual intimacy. Spiritual intimacy involves sharing higher beliefs and values. They do not have to be the sharing of our religious views, but they can also be linked to our questions, Pataki says. This intimacy reflects our desire and ability to find something within our outside to find something within our outside or outside of ourselves that has a powerful meaning. It can be a journey of inner growth, a mindfulness practice, a group affiliation, or a shared belief. Now, this is the thing I have come to know. Religion can break you apart because, what if one person believes this, one person believes that, or not even so much that you believe different things, is that you don't respect one another's belief system. If the belief system makes a person a better person, then it's cool to become familiar with it. It's cool to listen to them as they communicate what they're going through and this and that and the other. I think that's cool. Some cool shit also to just sit back and listen to one another. Yours is not the correct way. Mine is not the correct way. It's just a way that we are trying to become the better versions of ourselves. Now, what are the traits of an intimate relationship? Another way to think about intimacy is by reflecting on the ways you want to make your partner feel and all the benefits of a close relationship that you want to have in return. Pataki suggests prioritizing the following pillars. Now, dig this. Communication. Are you pushing past any discomfort in order to be vulnerable with your partner about how you're feeling? Are you actively listening to what they have to say rather than thinking about how you will respond as they're talking? I just said that. When people talk, they try to talk over each other. When people communicate, one person listens, one person's actively listens, one person is doing the communication. And then it's you take turns. You don't cut each other off. You try not to cut each other off, but that's what you do. The next one is trust. Do you believe what your partner is telling you? Are you being a reliable partner right now? Honesty. Are you being authentic in your words and actions, and vice versa? Acceptance. Do you accept your faults as well as where your partner may fall short? Are you willing to love them despite their weaknesses? And a lot of times we have to say, we have to understand, no one is the total package. We're not the total package. We have our quirks. We have our things that our partner may not particularly care for, but they understand. Those little things are the sum total of our whole package that makes us who we are. And hopefully that your partner likes you more than she dislikes the things that, those little quirks. Safety. Do you feel a sense of security in this relationship? Are you providing the same kind of environment for the other person? And safety comes in more than just physical safety. It's emotional safety, spiritual safety, mental safety, financial safety. Y'all got to be able to create an environment where all of those safety requirements are met. Compassion. Do you not only care about their suffering, but want to relieve it? When When your partner is hurting or feeling down, or are you over there trying to console them? Are you over there trying to be empathetic to their needs? Are you trying to listen to them to gauge to gauge how deep their hurt is? And are you trying to actively come up with solutions that may help them? And if you are that person that have, the issue, are you listening to your partner's solutions? Affection. How are you showing affection? How are you showing this person your love? How do you feel loved by them? And some people show it in many different ways. That's where I came up. I'm going to put a link to this. You got the 5 love languages. You got words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is about expressing affection through spoken words, praise, or appreciation. When this is someone's primary love language, they enjoy kind words and encouragement, uplifting quotes, love notes, and cute text messages. You can make this person's day by complimenting them or pointing out what they do well. You got quality time. Someone with this love language wants undivided attention. They feel loved if you are present and focused on them when you are together. This means putting down the cell phone, turning off the computer, making eye contact, and actively listening. We just talked about the physical touch. Physical touch. A person with physical touch as their primary love language feels love through physical affection. Aside from sex, they feel loved when their partner holds their hand, touches their arm, or gives them a massage at the end of the day, for example. This person's ideal of a perfect date might include cuddling on a couch with a glass of wine and a good movie. They simply want to be close to their partner physically. And then you have acts of service. Acts of service are nice things you do for your partner that make them feel loved and appreciated, such as helping with the dishes, running errands, vacuuming, putting gas in the car. If your partner's main love language is acts of service, they'll notice and appreciate little things you do for them. They tend to perform acts of service and kindness for others too. Now, receiving gifts. For someone who uses and responds to this love language, gift giving indicates love and affection. They treasure not only the gift itself, but also the time and effort the gift giver put into it. When you take the time to pick out a gift, especially for them, it tells them you really know them. People with this love language can often remember every little gift they have received from their loved ones because it makes such an impact on them. And see, that's about, affection, how do you show them, and those 5 love languages. When you find out what your partner's love language is, then you can start kind of customizing how you deal with your partner. And now you're dealing with them not from a general standpoint. You can just like hone in on what it is they love. Space. Do you recognize your own inability to hold emotional space for your partner when they're in pain and vice versa? Do you recognize your own inability to hold emotional space for your partner when they're in pain and vice versa? Man. Now, they have some suggestions on how to improve intimate relationships. Now that you have a clearer understanding of intimacy and what it really means to become closer with someone in a broad sense, you may be looking for brass tacks ways to put that knowledge to use. There's no shortcut to an intimate relationship, even if reality TV sometimes suggests otherwise. Close bonds take work, but Pataki has a few additional steps to get you on the right track. Number 1, get into the right headspace. In order to connect with others, begin with a calm, open mindset. Before a vulnerable conversation, for example, Pataki recommends setting aside some time for yourself without any distractions. Find a quiet bench, close your eyes, connect to your breath, and spend 20 minutes focusing on your body, she says. What is it feeling? How's your breathing? What is my mind doing? Notice any tension, fidgeting, anger, or fear. Number 2, check in with your younger self. Reflecting on your past can help you discover your own intimacy issues that may be creating difficulty in connecting with others. Pataki suggests looking at a photo from when you were 8 to 10 years old and asking yourself, What did this child need that they didn't get? What am I not getting today? How can I begin to help that child and now myself receive what might be lacking? Write down any answers that may come to you. Number 3, look at each other. Really look at each other. Spend at as little as 5 minutes up to 20 if you're comfortable and stare into the eyes of your partner or loved ones in silence. Man, looking into somebody's eyes is a very powerful thing. Be careful of doing that. That's all I'm going to say. Looking into somebody's eyes can be it can get uncomfortable if you're not careful. It may feel silly at first, and that's okay. Keep going. You'll be surprised at how much you can learn just through the eyes. Pataki says, afterward, talk about the experience. What came up just by looking at your partner? What did it feel like to be looked at by your partner? And when you're looking at your partner, like in the eyes, when you're focused on their eyes, it's unlike looking at their physical frame, their body. When you're looking, they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. The eyes will tell you a story that sometimes the mouth won't. Practice empathy. Ultimately, Hockemeyer says that the best way to be intimate is by cultivating empathy for your partner. Try to understand their world through their experience. Once you have a sense of what they value, take actions that show them you see and hear them. He says, we know, easier said than done. Which brings us to the last point. Consider couples therapy. We all have blind spots, Pataki says. A therapist's primary job is to help make you aware of them. While one couple may struggle with physical intimacy, another may not be on the same page emotionally. Learning about your life and your behaviors solely from your perspective is limiting. She adds, a good therapist can help you see you, identify patterns, help you become more aware of what you're not seeing, and learn healthier ways to navigate relationships. When it comes to relationships, be it personal or professional, you have to learn how to communicate. And if you can communicate, if you have open dialogue, open candor, just letting it all out, and being truly authentic, that's a great foundation on which to build a relationship off of. And a lot of times we're so quick to become physical, we forget the communication part. We forget the emotional part, because the communication part is going to build up to the emotional part. The emotional part should build up to the physical part and things of that nature. So before you jump off into the next serious relationship, or before you dismantle the one you have, maybe there's some things intimately you all can do to fix it or to make going into the next one better. Hey, I'd like to thank you all for stopping in again on Soul Vision Powercast. If you like it, hey, hit the like button for me. If you're not a soul visionary, please subscribe. And as always, I'm going to ask you to share this content with as many people as you possibly can. Thank you. Peace.